Bismillah. Feeling the air today. It's a little bit cold, but we got some sun out here, so gonna get out regardless. Last week I come across this. It looked like an art mural type thing, and I wasn't expecting it. I was out for a run with the guys, and I seen it, and I thought that'd be a great place to go, take the bike, take a picture maybe. So that's my motive. It's a quick little mission to try and capture a picture, and before I get out and talk a little bit about what's been going on this week. So we just had the far-right protest last weekend, and everyone came out in their droves to protest the invasion of our Britain, all the immigrants, the Islamification of Europe, and just general hatred, really. And the thing I was astounded by the most was social media and just people's comments on like LBC radio and just anything I heard, really. And people are just blinded with hatred, you know. They're just talking about facts. They're just talking about what they heard or any rumors. No one's really got a strong point to make, except they just can't stand to see people of other color and other cultures around them, you know, doing well or even being helped. And it's just dehumanizing. Like, one of the main themes that I've kind of grasped about what's going on in the Middle East is that they've let a whole population become answerable for what a few people for this group did, and they're okay with babies and women and elderly just being bombed and just slaughtered on an industrial scale, and they don't mind it. And these are the same types of people who are afraid. They're insecure. They're afraid about other cultures and other types of people being around them. And they'll say, oh yeah, religion is the one that is causing all the wars in the world. It's not true. It's always been the mission for profit, the mission for power and expansion. And these same people, it doesn't matter what religion you are. You could be any of those religions, the key religions. You could be a non-believer, an atheist. There is that group of people who just don't care about the impact on people, the impact on tribes, on communities. They will do what they can to make a profit. And they become very good at it. Let's go then. They become very good at it, where they have gained political influence, they've gained an advantage over the common people of society, and they can change the narrative and the dialogue of what you're seeing in front of you. And they are, you know, under the guise of corporations, they're under the guise of creating jobs and creating wealth and prosperity. But really and truly, there's this system, whether it's planned or not, there's a system happening now where people are just not getting equity back from from the work that they put in. You know, people are overworked, they can't afford the basic things, and this is where you're starting to see this rise in nationalism, you know, if you like, this far right ideology. And it's dangerous, you know, it's dangerous for immigrants, it's dangerous for people of different religions. That lady, that Sikh woman, was attacked. I think last week she was attacked. She was attacked and raped. That wasn't by an immigrant, for sure. And so you can't just use violence with violence and just use these negative forces on a group of people that you don't like or don't necessarily agree with. And I think that's the danger, and that's what I'm afraid of, is that there is hatred being spread through ignorance and lies, you know? Like, I don't want to use the talk to start going into how power was built and how different nations were transferring power and the rise of these imperialist powers. That's just a whole topic in itself. What I just mean in general is people don't know the people they criticize. You know, it's easy for me to go on and start talking bad about a Muslim or bad about a Christian or bad about a Jew based off of what I've just read online or some skewed text that I've seen translated into English from some unknown source. Yeah. Have you met a Christian, a proper Christian? Have you met a Jew? Have you met a Muslim? Have you met a Caribbean man or a Chinese person, you know, to speak to them, get to know them, spend time with them? A lot of people, they just speak utter like ridicule in like without even knowing the people, you know. They've not even tried to get to know their neighbor. They've just seen something on the news, on the front newspaper, or they heard some rumor, someone, I don't know, had their wallet stolen, or someone got into an altercation with someone, and then now all of a sudden that entire group of people is like that, you know. I just think that is so unfair. You know, if you look at crime statistics, the themes of who the domestic violent and child, sexual assault cases and all that kind of stuff, it's not the people you think it is. You start looking at the statistics, it's not the people that you see on the headlines or the people spoke about. And religions spreading violence, it's not the case. It is not the case. These are people and organizations that have used religion as a means to get funding and religion as a means to recruit and build these organizations, you know. And they've spread and they've created... Okay, let's clear this first. They've created depression. You know, I genuinely think it's these organizations of greed, these organizations of power. They don't need religion. They don't need religion to guide them because they're guided by another force. They're the ones that are dividing people, and the ignorance in people is what's fueling it. You know, people aren't trying to study or learn about the different types of people or why we do what we do, right? To figure out where this place is. And that's what I'm scared of, right? And I was thinking, if you say you did do exactly what they wanted, what the far right wanted, get out of my country, all the Muslims, Uri. Let's take your turn. Let's just say you got out all these hateful people, take out all of the immigrants and whatever color of people they don't like, right? They throw them out the bag. So they've now got their country back. They've now got their borders back, if you like. Do you think it's going to stop there? That hate won't stay in this country. That hate will find a way to encroach on the people when they go back to their own homelands. It's not going to stop there. They'll find a way to attack afterwards. First it will be exile. Then after exile, they will start to interfere and they will start to make excuses, and they'll be rallied and they'll be told and spoken to rise up and take arms and go attack these nations. It's not going to stop there. Hatred is like a fire. It's just going to keep burning away at whatever it's held onto, whatever vessel it's held onto. I think that's what they're not realizing. You know, people say, "Oh, it's no, we just want our country back." There's a deeper hatred that you're not actually confronting, and that is, you want to do more than just take people out of your country. You want to do more than that, and you might not know it, but the people you're following, these leaders, these far-right leaders, they have ulterior motives. They have darker motives. And this is the problem. You're being misled. So many people are following false prophets nowadays, that don't actually mean to better their state. They're just feeding these false narratives, and just increase them in their hatred. In my religion, in Islam, I don't see anywhere, and I've sat there studying the Quran, I've sat there reading the Hadith, nowhere did it tell me to go out actively and just try and attack people, to rape people, to go murder. No, it didn't tell me to do that. The religion told me to spread good, and when people start looking at the texts in a very narrow corner of picking up arms and fighting, you have to defend yourself. That's just a basic human element here. You're being attacked, your own home is being attacked, you have to defend yourself. It's the same in this case. If this country was being attacked and on our shores there was this foreign invasive force trying to take out our country, our government, just destabilize the people, you'd have to take up arms and defend, right? Because your family is in danger. Nowhere does it say you go around force converting people. Like, it's not the way. That's not the way our Prophet ﷺ taught us. And this is the problem. Like, you just want to pin a blame on anything that is just remotely different to you, and people can't really explain their they can't explain their situation, so they're trying to make and grasp some kind of, I don't know, they're just trying to make sense of their reality, but they're just doing it in a very wrong way. Let's go on. So what do you do if you're a migrant or born in the UK but from migrant parents? I think you have to lead by example, Don't give them an excuse. They're going to look for any excuse for you to get angry and do something unprovoked. Just be smart. Speak to your communities. Speak to your colleagues, your friends, people who are People who are white, British, people who are different to you, you know? Let them know that it is a concern for you. And there are people that are on our side, you know, that know that a lot of the narrative that you see in the news is just, you know, so much of it is fabricated. So much of it is orchestrated, you know, just to confuse people, to feed on their insecurities, bring them together and just try and achieve this objective for profit, this objective for expansion and power. And they are the vessel for it. You know, they're not going to get nothing in return. You know, go back to their houses, put on the kettle, put on the news, and it's just going to be the same. You know, the difference is you've killed, pushed out, and traumatized a group of people that had nothing to do with it. It was created by ignorant, to some extent evil people, you know, to trick you. And George Orwell and many writers wrote about that, you know, mind control and mass control, control of the people. People don't read enough. That's what I've noticed as well. You know, no one could read a few pages of a book. They'd rather just listen to some random TikTok video with just because it's got flashy subtitles doesn't necessarily mean it's factual. I'm trying to think what this cartoon is from. It's an anime. It's not Akira. Hey, morning, you alright? You okay? Which dog? Oh, that would be concerning. Have a good day. That's your dark exposure. Yeah, so whoever painted this, really good. See if I can get a more further picture. Yeah, so just speak up about it, show your concern. Sometimes you got to remind people, you know, like your values. You got to remind people about who you are, what your background is. Don't hide it. Don't be apologetic about your existence. I'm certainly not saying to do that, but just sometimes people will fall for it. They'll start seeing all of this speech, and sometimes someone close to you, your friends, someone you went to school, might be thinking that. You know, they might be thinking, oh, well, you know, maybe some of it is true, but they're going to be too afraid to tell you. Am I worried about something extreme happening? No, not really. Not now. Can I get worse? I don't know. Sometimes these things, they tide over. You know, this hatred and these national fronts, if you like. These racist gangs coming out. You know, they might attack a few people. They might have a few protests, and then they might just all settle down because they're not sophisticated enough, you know. And a lot of times, something so logically wrong, it doesn't really last, you know. But are they getting more and more organized? Are they getting more and more sophisticated? They're learning. Each time they're learning, every time they get shut down, they're coming back more organized. They're coming back more knowledgeable about how to evade the law, how to evade police. And that's where it gets dangerous. You need one or two good speakers, one or two guys who can rap everyone together and bring en masse. And there was someone that did that once upon a time in history in Germany, you know. But I'm not afraid. Something like that happens, you just got to do what you got to do, your basic human instincts. Defend your family, defend yourself, and do not go into excess. That's the problem, you know. One side is unfairly attacked, and then the moment the other side get a chance to retaliate or they get their justice, they go overboard. And so, are you any different to the original people? No, you know, that's it. Controlling your anger is honestly such a skill and it's something you got trained for. You know, there's guys and girls go in gym lifting weights. They're strong. There's people who are very intelligent in academia, but when it comes to being angry and getting pissed off, some of them, they can't control their emotions. And our Prophet ﷺ said the strongest one isn't the wrestler. It's the one who can control his emotions, you know. Anger is, like I said, it's just a fuel for fire. And there's a lot of that today. And so a lot of people are confused. They're not willing to listen. They just want to talk, rant. They're not willing to listen. They're not willing to see the perspective of the other side. Everyone just needs to get on their bike and go for a ride. Just enjoy this weather. And not stress, you know. I trust there is a plan. God has a plan. And right now, we're in the chapter where the bad guys have the upper hand, you know. And the bad guy right now, it's not a clear face. It's not a clear face. It's like some 7-headed dragon made up of corrupt religious leaders, made up of corrupted politicians, and made up of very greedy and somewhat unethical organizations coming together under this invisible banner. It's not England. It's not England or the English that you should be afraid of. Wherever it is, wherever this entity is, or wherever this source for hatred is, it doesn't have a flag. It's global. It doesn't need borders. It will find a way to get into every society in every corner of the world if it can. And it will just find a way to enslave you, you know, whether that's through mines, you know. You got children digging up precious metals just for your brand new phones that are coming out. There's a microchip war going on, a microchip race. There's a race for materials, you know, for gold, for tangible materials. That's what it is, you know. It's not some Pakistani in Rotherham isn't going to take over the world, believe me. And everyone who is afraid because of trying to, you know, survive and get to the next month, you know, you've got £20 to somehow sustain and feed your family for a week. It's a squeeze, you know, and that squeeze is artificial. No one has any real say over where the money is being going or where it's being spent. We just trust our leaders to do the right thing. And are they compromised? Yeah, absolutely. You know, you see it all the time in Asia. It's not just the West. People are being compromised. They're being bought, and some are just being corrupted by their own wills, by their own desire, by their own greed to just look after their family and themselves and not really think about the rest. And so I finish there. Find within yourself how much humanity do you have really to see someone who is inflicted or in pain, whether that's an animal that's been run over and hit on the side of the road, it's still alive but half battered, half injured. Some people would just turn an eye to it and just carry on about their day. Some might stop, look and notice and feel a bit sad, but it's not that, they're on their way to work, they don't really have time to go pick it up. And some will look at it, stop and be heartbroken, and they'll actually try to help it, pick it up, take it to a vet, call the RSPCA or do whatever, right? That's just a microcosm example. And right now, people need to question their own intrinsic level of morals. What is your moral compass? Are you okay with people being just bombed en masse? Are you okay with governments and rebel groups just going around killing each other? Killing the women, killing the children? Like, we shouldn't be tolerating that. And are we okay with governments just selecting our leaders for us because of some kind of weird constitutional gap where, well, you don't really get to vote the next person, it's just some kind of coalition or some kind of lost in confidence, so we're just going to choose the next leader? Like, it's a confusing world for a person. You can't navigate it. So all you need to go back to is your basics, like being nice to your neighbors, being nice to the people around you, like be a helping force, be a force of accommodation, a force of safety. At the end of the day, we're humans. We get hungry, we get cold, we need protection from the elements, and we need dignity. Dignity for ourselves, for our women, our children. We're not treated like farm animals or treated like numbers, numbers for some kind of campaign or some kind of mass execution or some kind of mass migration. Like, it's not the way, and if people read history, if you followed history enough, we know that, hang on a minute, this has happened before. We're going down the same route. We're going down the same hard road. Why are we doing this again? The most dangerous person to a cause is the one with knowledge, the one who remembers, has read about the past, who's read about the different tricks and the different flaws and the different kind of corrupt stories and narratives that have happened in the past. Those are the people that will be conscious and awake. And that's the thing. You have to open your conscience. Activate your mind, read, collect, ponder. We don't do enough of it. We just let the screens on our phones tell us. And so history is important, And I read a George Orwell line that he who controls the past controls the present, and he who controls the present can control the future. I don't know if that's completely accurate, the quote itself, but he's right. If you can control history in terms of narrative, you can use that as a dialogue and a blueprint to... Let's go straight. Actually, let's go right. You change the memory of people and you forge it. You can change how they'll be in the present time. And if you control the present time, you can also control what happens next. That's scary, you know, because people have forgotten. That's the thing, you've forgotten. Alright, I'm gonna end it there. I did kind of faff a little bit, but I hope I got my message clear. Like, these are scary times. Don't lose hope. There are evil people in the world, but I still believe there are more good. And don't let the news and the narrative of the masses make you just think like them. You know, think different. If you see all the fish swimming in one direction, you know, think why. What's in the other direction? You know, be like that Robert Frost guy. You know, go down the road not taken, the one less trodden. And don't be a racist. Don't be a bigot. Don't be. Don't be one of them people that just bounces and jumps on the hate wagon. You know, sometimes we want a sense of belonging and sense of community and purpose. And I think a lot of people, they get hijacked in the process. They're looking for purpose, and then they find this group that's using that missing purpose in them, and so it just recruits them for a false narrative, for some false goal. And when it comes to religion, you know, generally look into it, look into the text, learn, go meet someone from that religion, understand them, understand their ways. You know, they're not as bad as you think. Like I said, I think today's problem isn't a religious one. It's not one of color. It's one of profit and greed. You know, our false prophet today isn't a person. It's profiteering. It's that profiteering which has just gone berserk. It doesn't care about local stability, preservation of people and culture. It doesn't care anymore. It just wants to unify people under one banner, strip them of their dignity and their livelihood, and just corner them so that it's easier to control them. There you go, that's my take. Alright, people, enjoy. Stay blessed. Have peace. Salam.